Hello and welcome back to the Pick Six podcast. And we are a quarter way through the NFL season, which is slightly depressing that it's already week 4. Katie Mox and Will Brinson here, joined by Sportsline's finest, RJ White and Alex Selelnick. Oh, are we not slightly depressed that we're already a quarter way through?
No, I like this meat of the season. I like October. I like fall. I like fall. It's fall. It's time for fall.
Yeah.
And it's officially
we
fall.
Get through the first few weeks, right? You kind of know who every team is. So I guess it just goes by so fast.
RJ, how much have you adjusted? Like, what's the big, do you feel like you've adjusted your power rankings a ton already?
Some. I mean, you have to adjust for injuries when big injuries like the Aaron Rodgers things happen. Some and Burrow, I adjusted the Bengals way down because he wasn't playing 100%, and then you gradually have to get him up. But there are other teams. Miami gets a big boost because they look legit. And other things where you thought you had a good read on a team, you might reduce them down. Just so you're not overcompensating for that over and over. So I guess a little bit, but it's not going to be too different.
Yeah. Obviously we have Sportsline's finest on the show today. And if you do like winning picks with Sportsline, make sure you sign up on sportsline.com. Use the code PICK, P-I-C-K, to get your first month for just $1. On the last episode in the feed, Brinson, Brady, and Leger deciding what the Jets should do at quarterback before it all collapses. And of course, talking Taylor Swift, which we were talking Taylor Swift a little bit in the pre-show. And RJ was like, this is a football show. We should be talking about that. Obviously just a joke because that's all
Brady Quinn actually did say that.
He did.
Just 30 minutes after
daughters.
I know that was sort of his point. He was like, I'm so sick of Taylor Swift. He's like, in the car on the way to school, nothing but Taylor Swift. In the car on the way home from school, nothing but Taylor Swift. At home, nothing but Taylor Swift 24/7. He's like, can we just talk about football? It's like, Brady, I mean, in counterpoint, you did 30 minutes ago bring up nudicles. So,
I'm afraid to ask what that is. Yeah, that means I shouldn't be asking what that is. But I will say, if football was the safe place for Brady, and now it's been infiltrated with Swifties and Taylor Swift, I can absolutely understand that. If you guys would like to see what Brady thinks of Taylor Swift, make sure you check that on the YouTube channel, anywhere that you get your podcast. While you're at it, like, comment, and subscribe, folks. We love to have positive feedback from y'all. All right, week 3 was pretty mid for us, fellas. A lot of pretty even records. I went 3-2, Brinson 4-2, RJ 3-3, Propstarz.
Hey, you went 4-2 and I went 3-2. Also, why are you doing the Jill? Why are you doing the Jalen Waddle touchdown celebration? Why have we not talked about this?
Oh, well, that was yeah. I didn't know. I came around the corner. I was holding my packs because I was wearing a dress, so I had nowhere to clip them in. And all of a sudden, Moose is standing in front of me with a sign saying to do the waddle. So I waddled.
You did waddle, yes.
Yeah. And I thought Pete Prisco's was probably the best of all of the waddles.
That's
you can check that out on NFL and CBS Instagram, by the way.
And Twitter. That's because Pete actually waddles when he walks.
he's a
right, anyway, I don't know why I'm being so
already
today.
Yes. I went 4-2, 3-2. I don't know. It got flipped up in here. All right. Mox is even on the season. Ooh. Hello, rhyming 11-11. But it's early. Wait for me to fall on my face. That's all I'll say about that.
RJ and Propstarz below 5. I'm the only one above 500. That's how you know that this season's screwed up.
Well, let's address that a little bit. Like the picks here have been not great. Well, no, you're fine. My picks here haven't been great. Yeah. But if you go to sportsline.com, you check out my record. I'm number 1 hottest expert on there. Plus, I think 1095 or so. Right now on the streak, a little bit positive last week, really good week too, even though my record here didn't reflect it in all. So go there, get the picks, get the lines at where we make them, and read the analysis, see which ones you want to follow, because I'm actually having a pretty solid season despite what's happening on this podcast.
Yes, I would agree with that. Make sure you sign up, sportsline.com, use the promo code PICK, first month, just $1. And I agree. I think when you go on a lot of these shows, you try to spread your picks out a little bit. Like there are certain shows that I've been going on where I've been getting my butt kicked and I'm losing and everything. And then I'm even on this show. So it just totally depends. But of course, you're listening to us. We want to give you winners, and we were going to get on that track today. And starting with, what is our first?
This week looks like this is a hard week. I think. I don't know what you guys think.
Now, RJ, based on what Brinson just said, is week 4 a harder week typically?
Typically, it just kind of depends who's hurt, what are the surprises coming out the previous week. I know the market probably got attacked by a few things that they did not expect last week. They were against the Dolphins last week, and that didn't play out. They were against the Bills. Everybody wanted to get that number at +7 and even bet it down after that. That didn't work out. So there was just several situations like that where the market thought it had a read on some of these teams on value, and it got erased. So we'll see if that corrects here. But yeah, I don't know if I call it as hard as last week. I thought, some minds to navigate, and that's basically just me reading the market and having different opinions on them and wondering what's right. But wish I would have been a little more confident on some of those.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's start with the Falcons
London.
at the Jags, but really London. Yeah, exactly. Jags laying 3. Jags laid an egg in their last game, over under 43.5. The Toy Story game, which again, I'm so depressed that I will be at Tops on CBS Sports Network. If you aren't watching the Toy Story game or this game, tune in with us on CBS Sports Network, 8 to 12 Eastern. I guess we'll start with you, Propstarz. Any props that you are looking at? It seems like you don't have any best bets here, but any leans?
Yeah, no best bets here. I am interested in Calvin Ridley here. Obviously, the revenge game narrative. No Zay Jones in the lineup either. That should funnel some additional targets to him. We've also seen Christian Kirk have a larger target share the previous 2 weeks. I think things kind of balance out a little bit more here in Calvin Ridley's favor. He's someone I've got my eye on, kind of just waiting to see what happens regarding the market with him, a little bit of movement with him. And then as far as Falcons props are concerned, I do think this is going to be a spot to back Bijan again. I think the Falcons are going to get back to their bread and butter, running the football. I think Bijan didn't get nearly enough touches last week, resulting in that loss. So I expect him to be a more focal point of their game plan again. So he's a guy I have my eye on as well.
Like it. Any thoughts from you, RJ?
Yeah, I think I heard some comments that they know that they need to get Ritter more involved in the passing game to have some more juice. Otherwise, they're not going to go where they want to go. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get a little, more targets to those guys, try to open it up against the Jags defense. It's really struggling. I mean, both teams are coming off terrible performances. Jacksonville's offense moved the ball, but the defense and special teams were awful, especially against that beat up Houston offensive line. Atlanta's pass offense has zero juice, so they need to get that going. If the opponent can stop the run, they're in trouble. And we saw that last week. Jacksonville's defense is 7th in yards per rush, but they haven't really been tested to the extent. If Atlanta wants to go heavy run here, they've shown that they can do it against non-elite, rush defenses. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But Jacksonville's offense also struggling with turnovers. It's so much better than Atlanta on paper, but it just hasn't produced that way. I hope this line comes down a bit to take the Jaguars at 3, considering there's no home field advantage here, despite what you think about Jacksonville always playing overseas. It's not like they have a great record there, especially recently. My power ratings have these teams just 1.5 points apart. So the value here would be on the Falcons, but I'm more interested in playing the Jaguars if the line comes down a little.
If they're having Desmond Ridder throw the ball more, I will probably take him for an interception.
That's not a terrible look. The Jags, like you look at who they faced in terms of rushing the football. Anthony Richardson ran for 4 yards a carry against them, but had a long of 12 on 10 carries. Deion Jackson did absolutely nothing in that game. Zach Moss was hurt in that week 1 matchup. Then they had the Chiefs in week 2, and that was just a really a total mud fest. I don't think nobody scored until the second quarter, which is wild to think about when you consider those two offenses. Pacheco had a 31-yard rush and 70 yards on 11 other carries. 39 yards on 11 other carries. That's not exactly robust. And then, last week we saw the Texans, Damian Pierce, they scored 37 points and didn't run the ball at all. It's how that, I don't even know how that happens. If you score 37 points, you should be running the ball a ton just because you're leading. So I found that pretty surprising. So I sort of lean towards the under here. I think Atlanta will try to run, and I think Jacksonville will try to run as well. So I would lean towards the under if I was going to take anything in this game. I will be taking something. Ooh, everybody's got something here. Yeah. Dolphins at Bills. Woo! Bills -3, over under 53.5. This is the game of the week easily.
Should be. If they could flex in week 4, they would flex this game.
Yes, they would. The Dolphins actually getting -115 on FanDuel in terms of that +3 and the over juiced slightly. I hate these -112. What are we doing here? RJ. explain to us why you're a traitorous Bills fan. There's a Bills helmet behind your right shoulder.
Ooh.
E2, Mr. White.
Well, I always tell you who I think is going to cover and win, not who I want to win. And here, I mean, the Dolphins are just playing too well. These teams are much closer together than the market is considering here, especially if you can get the +3, which is what we're seeing there at FanDuel. 2.5 is available at other places. So if you do want to take the Bills at -2.5, I would take the Bills if people got on board the Dolphins wagon and moved it down closer to pick them, because I do think the Bills are a solid bet to win this game, but I don't think it's gonna be more than a 3-point game either way. It's tough a place for Miami to win, but Miami's offense looks unstoppable. Buffalo's offense looks more balanced in the past, and their defense has been strong versus the past, but they haven't really played anyone, that effective there. Buffalo's defense 32nd in yards per rush allowed. We've seen Miami with these running backs with a new dimension. They can run the ball now, and they've had these games where the running backs have carried the load, to some extent. And so they can go to that tool in their toolbox if they need it. Buffalo's defense also thriving on turnovers, had 8 in the last 2 games. Miami's not going to turn the ball over, especially not 4 times. They're too good on offense to do that. I think it's going to be a close game. Like I said, take Miami at +3 at home. I also, so that's the best bet. I also have Josh Allen over 33.5 rush yards at -113. He's been over 35.5 in 67% of his games since 2021. And he's had 5+ attempts in all non-blowouts in that stretch. There were 8 times he didn't do it. 7 of them were just complete blowouts, 17+ points, and the other one may as well have been. There was a garbage time touchdown at the end of the game. So this just is a spot with his big game. Should be a close game. He's going to run it a bunch with his legs. He's going to get 5+ attempts. He probably going to get close to 10 attempts, and I don't see any way he stays under 35 unless he suffers an injury.
Yeah.
I love that. I actually flipped on this, Brinson. On Monday's show, I was like, there's no way I'm not taking Miami on this. How could you bet against Miami? And then I started digging into it a little bit deeper this morning. And actually, according to Action Network, 78% of retail is on the Miami money line. Contrastly, only 35%
Retail, I like that,
are backing the Bills against the spread, but 71% of total money is on Buffalo. So that's what the sharps are doing, except for our sharp. RJ is on the other side here. And look, when you look at it, Miami has not been able to beat the Bills recently. Josh Allen, 9-2 all time versus Miami. Yes, it is a little bit scary because they just put up 70 points on the Broncos, but the Bills are not the Broncos, specifically at defense. And Buffalo has become one of the toughest places to play in the league. Since 2020, the Bills are 25-6 at home, 10-1 against divisional opponents within that same span. So Miami bettors, just beware of a letdown possibly after a massive scoring game, according to our CBS Sports HQ research team. Since the merger, teams that score 60+ points in a game are 1-5 in their next game. So that caused me to flip here. Give me the Bills -2.5 or 3.
I'm on the Bills -3 as well. And I guess the logic is sort of the same. I hate seeing RJ on the Dolphins. I mean, it makes sense. I get it. I think I referenced you and Emery on Monday show, and I'm not saying I'm not lumping you in with the general, but I think the initial reaction to seeing this line is like, what? The Dolphins the Dolphins are dogs?
That's what I thought.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And Emery said the same thing, and I think it's like they just scored 70 points. How can they possibly be an underdog? And that's a fair reaction. The Dolphins are really good, and the Dolphins look like an elite football team, and I think that they're going to be very good all year. But I think it's a little too stinky for my liking. I think Buffalo takes care of business. Buffalo stomped the crap out of the Raiders and the Commanders the last 2 weeks. So Propstarz, I'm going to take the Bills here. You got anything?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to take a shot on probably one of my favorite post-hype sleepers, Gabriel Davis, over 42.5 receiving yards. Game with the highest projected total of the week. I talk about this a lot, looking to invest in cheap pieces in this game. Gabriel Davis has 100% route participation, runs a route on every single Josh Allen drop back, coupled with the deepest ADOT. The average depth of target is deeper than any skill position player or wide receiver or tight end on this Bills offense. So he does not need a big target share to make a big impact in a game that's certainly going to project to be a high-scoring environment. It just takes a couple of targets for him. I've been impressed. I think he looks healthy. He looks good. The numbers don't jump off the page, but this is a matchup I think he can definitely have positive results in. Miami's defense has also given up a lot of big plays down the field. Love Gabe Davis in this spot over 42.5 receiving yards.
Katie, one thing real quick on your trend about the teams with 60 plus and they go 1-5. I think a lot of that that's against the spread or straight up.
Straight up.
Straight up, yeah. See, I think a lot of times these teams get overrated in that, and they kind of feel in themselves. This is a big divisional game, though.
Yeah.
And look ahead was -3. It's -3 right now, so it's not like the market's really adjusting to them scoring 70.
So this is probably like all of a sudden they're a touchdown favorite or something, and then they don't end up covering or winning.
Yeah, you would see that. You would see this at Pick'em. Team score 70. You would expect to see this at Pick'em.
Yeah, I mean. I would agree with you on that one. I still like the Bills though. Moving on to the next one, Pittsburgh Steelers laying 3 at the Texans over under 41.5. Steelers, Kenny Pickett start dealing a little bit against Garoppolo and the Raiders there. And CJ Stroud looks to be probably one of the best rookie quarterbacks from this class.
Pete Prisco said he's currently the best rookie quarterback in the class.
Who said that?
Pete Prisco did.
Oh, Pete Prisco. All right. I'm curious what Pete Prisco thinks of the Jags game that we already talked about. Is he high on them this week?
Oh my God. I'm watching Pete waddle now. This is hilarious.
Yeah, no, he's got a great waddle. I
forgot Pete didn't waddle anymore because of Ozempic. He's on like a ton of Ozempic.
Not a ton.
I don't know what he thinks about the Jags, but I do know that he was singing he was singing CJ Stroud's praises. I'm curious, RJ, like how much? I mean, I really want to take the Texans here, but that defensive line for the Steelers and the offensive line injuries for the Texans for Houston really worries me. I will say, JJ Watt, our colleague, gonna be back in the house. He sent out a tweet earlier that he's gonna be in H-Town this weekend. That should fire the fans up, don't you think?
Yeah, I love those narrative plays that you always love. So we saw how well that worked out with Brady in New England that first week. Yeah, in theory, the Pittsburgh defense should eat up the Houston offensive line, but those offensive line has been an issue all year and it hasn't slowed them up yet. 2 great passing games in a row now. Pittsburgh's offense unimpressive again. Last week, I know they won that game, but they had a 72-yard touchdown there, 4.4 yards per play. Otherwise, you take that one big play out. It's not like they executed the offense well the entire game. Houston's defense overcame injuries in the secondary to slow down a better pass offense than this in Jacksonville. So I thought they were really impressive in that game. Pittsburgh had a long trip to Vegas, got longer with plane issues, having to land in Kansas City and stay overnight there, essentially on the plane, didn't even get off the plane. Know that. And then get back on the road around lunchtime. So it kind of takes away one of your off days, essentially, screwing up your schedule there. I think fading Pittsburgh as favorites is a good strategy, especially on the road until the offense shows something, and they haven't shown enough for me. So I love it at +3 if you want to play the +3. I was wondering if we were going to get any higher because of the offensive line issues, but that is a bad matchup for them. But I just think this team has proven enough that they can't be getting 3 here.
So are you making Houston a bet, or you just like lean Houston?
I'm leaning Houston for purposes of this. I'm monitoring the line a little bit. We'll see, whether it's official play later.
Okay, because I'm probably going to put Houston in as a best bet on sportsline.com. You can check that out, sportsline.com/join. Use promo code PICK for your first month for $1. Propstarz, you got anything here?
Love rookie wide receiver Tank Dell. Just been super encouraged by his play. It's going to be a rough day for Patrick Peterson if he's going to have to chase Tank Dell around, or Nico Collins for that matter. But both of those young receivers look excellent.
All right, moving on. The Rams at the Colts. This line is virtually a pick-em. Colts -1.5, total 46.5. Rams offense really couldn't get going on Thursday. Was it Thursday night? No, Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football. Again,
today's actually Thursday.
I don't know. I'm like, what day is it?
Welcome to the NFL season. That's week 4. Where you're like, is it Thursday?
Like, yeah, exactly. Monday Night Football. I was speaking of being good on some shows and not others. I went on a show and I was very heavy on Puka. I took him. I raised the line up to 100 receiving yards. That didn't cash, although he cashed the regular one. Didn't get a touchdown. They were double teaming him there. And then the Colts have looked a little bit frisky. I know there's no best bets on this, but Brinson, what do you think of just this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would lean towards the Rams here. I know that short week, they look terrible on Monday night, but I mean, I understand that.
Bengals team.
What's that?
It was a desperate Bengals team.
Yeah, desperate Bengals team. Joe Burrow gutted it out, even with the calf injury. So nothing didn't get worse than he thought it might. And I think that what we saw from the Bengals defense was like the most impressive part. I mean, Trey Hendrickson was flying out of a cannon. Once the Bengals got that lead, they really pinned their ears back. Lou Anarumo sent a ton of blitz packages at Matthew Stafford, and it wasn't like Stafford can't like deal with it. It was just they couldn't hold up under the pressure. I don't think we're going to see the same amount of pressure coming from the Colts here, so I would lean Rams. The over-under here is really confusing to me. 45.5 is a ton for two teams that you think are going to largely try to be a little ball control here. Sean McVay's certainly conservative. We saw him, he kicked a ton of short field goals on Monday night, even though it's like, you've got a tough matchup with the Bengals on the road in a game you really need to win. And I think the Rams probably a little more desperate than the Colts in this spot, RJ.
Yeah, I'm the other way. I think we were on the over when it was a lot lower on sports side. I think we got in at 44, either 44, 44.5. Spiked up after that because even though this Indy offense was not impressive in the win last week, 3.9 yards per play, 8 of 22 on third down, hit those long field goals, 4 of 53 plus, carried the day for them. Anthony Richardson's going to be back, and he just adds such a big dimension to this offense, being able to run around and execute what Shane Steichen's trying to do, that I think they're going to have success against this Rams defense, which is beatable, as they've shown. Scoring on Indy's defense shouldn't be a problem for Stafford and co. Would love to see the left tackle back because, he was just getting completely enveloped by the pass rush there. And Indy D, I think, has an underrated front. They had that game, I believe, with 6 sacks earlier in the year. I think they've averaged 4 per game. So it's not like they have a bad front, and they could take advantage of those injuries too. I would have went with the Rams before that game on Monday. Now I like Indy if Richardson's in. I think you can look to play the Indy money line. This is available anywhere from Indy -1.5 to Indy +1 right now. So you can take one with Indy, or you can play a money line at -105. But my lean here would be to Indy.
Propstarz, if Anthony Richardson plays, anytime touchdown?
Yeah, no, that's always a good spot with his dual threat capabilities. I think RJ hit the nail on the head regarding this Indianapolis Colts front. Has been very good defensively. Has been very good against the run. Kyron Williams, I'm a fan of him, but he has been pretty inefficient. I've also heard rumblings that the Rams want to get other running backs involved. So I think fading him, especially near 60 yards, is a good look. So that's something I'll have my eye on. And I think this sets up very nicely for Zach Moss, who continues to be very, very, very impressive. He has certainly earned playing time, even if or when Jonathan Taylor returns to this lineup. Zach Moss has quietly been one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL over the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, he's got a very good matchup against a underwhelming Rams front as well. So 2 backs, different takes on both of them.
Richardson, by the way, even money to score a anytime touchdown.
Ooh, they're starting to get a little smarter there. I'll still take that. All right. Minnesota Vikings laying 4 at the Panthers. This total 45.5. Minnesota 0-3, losing all games by a single score. But they're still -196 on the money line. Brinson, you're taking Panthers.
Yeah. I think this guy was a 4.5 at one point. I think I wrote in my best bets piece that I'm taking it just because my parents are going to this game. I want my parents to be, and I'm sure like my dad's gonna be playing like Alexander Madison on his fantasy team, so he's actually gonna be like sitting in the stands like with a Panther shirt on, rooting for a Vikings touchdown. Good way to go, Bob. I think Minnesota's definitely the better team. This line jumped up a bit, I think, when Bryce Young was like announced he's back at practice, which is a red flag for the Panthers fans and Panthers backers. Both teams are 0-3, of course. Somebody's got to win. Carolina's at home, and I just think the Panthers defense will have a big bounce back game against a Vikings offense that is good. Like, I mean, like they have tons of talent on it. Like Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins is leading the league in passing yards right now. He's on pace for 6,000 passing yards, which is absolutely insane. You've got, Madison, as we mentioned, got called out. Basically Madison got called out by Kevin O'Connell because he's like, people who don't value ball security won't play. And it's like, well, he's not going to bench Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison or Kirk Cousins. So I guess it's Alexander Madison we're talking about here. And I think we see a little inspired action for the Panthers offense. They got to get something going. Frank Reich needs to kind of like uncork some trick plays here or something to spark this offense because it's really been flat. And I can't imagine David Tepper is thrilled about that, RJ.
Yeah, the Carolina offense was better with Dalton last week, done in by false starts and the team just in general by defensive injuries. They fell apart defensively in that game. The false starts won't be an issue here because they're at home. I don't know what the defense is going to look like with all those injuries and see who plays there, but they're shorthanded a linebacker, safety, cornerback. It just seems like everywhere a team, when you're facing a team like Minnesota, they're going to score however many points they want here. So the question is, can the Panthers keep up offensively? This line is inflating, like you said, 4.5 available at some points. The circa million lines came out just before we could jump on the podcast for the Vegas contest, and they have it at 5. So they're expecting even more of a move because they're trying to project forward and give people, progressive lines to pick against. So it could be a big value there. At that number, I'm only looking to Carolina like you will. Minnesota might be 3-0 if not for the fumbles. Offenses look great otherwise. Their defenses face some tough offenses. This should be an easier test, but just an 0-3 team at -4, -5 at the home.
It's crazy. On the road, yeah.
And it's an indoor team too, playing outdoors. Something I can't trust that number. So if I'm going to play it, it's going to be Carolina.
Well, Propstarz, you have a prop for this, and then I'll tell you what my bet is.
Yeah, sure. It's Jordan Addison over 39.5 receiving yards. He is a must bet, in my opinion, under 40 yards here. Obviously, his target share, route participation continue to grow each week. Finally became a full-time player last week, played over 85% of the snaps, had really high route participation as well. So love this spot for Addison. He's drawing a ton of targets deep down the field. That checks all the boxes for a potential spike week. Obviously benefits from a lot of the attention that Justin Jefferson commands, most double team player in the NFL right now for good reason. I think Addison's just going to continue to have a very big year as his role grows in this offense. Love him, especially betting him under 40 yards. So Jordan Addison over 39.5 receiving yards. Very good bet in my opinion.
Yeah, I actually love him. I loved him before the season started too. Kid out of USC, right? That's where Jordan Addison is from. So originally I was going to take the over 45.5. And then when I saw that Bryce Young was trending towards starting, I decided against that one. But I still do like the Vikings over their team total at 25.5. We know that they can't win a game, but they can score, right? Like you just said, Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins have been moving the ball downfield at a pretty impressive rate. Minnesota, of course, as we've talked about, leads the league in turnovers at 9. That's a big reason why they're still winless so far. The Panthers defense has been good. They're pretty strong up front, but they let Geno drop 37 on him. And this is a must-win game for the Vikings. They cannot go down 0-4. So if they can clean up those turnovers, I still think that they can put points on the board. So I'm taking them over the 25.5 team total.
Dig it. Well, actually, I don't dig it because that means that.
Well, you could still cover.
Yeah, as long as the Panthers could totally score 24 to 27 points. That seems totally reasonable. All right, we're gonna have more early slate games to cover coming up after the break. But first, Sunday, the NFL is on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus. The Week 4 matchups are stacked, headlined by an outstanding matchup in Buffalo when Tua takes the unstoppable Dolphins offense on the road against Josh Allen and the Bills. It all begins at noon Eastern with the NFL Today. We can't wait. The NFL is on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus. The Pick Six Podcast will be back after this break.
There's no Belichickery here.
When Sunday football isn't enough.
Dislike that take.
Great take.
That other pregame show will put you over the tops.
I'm all in. Let's go viral here.
Every Sunday, all the insight you need on CBS Sports Network.
You got to love when we leave the podcast to do a commercial. And you can't see this if you're listening to the podcast because you can't see anything. You're listening. But we leave, go to a commercial featuring Katie Mox. You're everywhere. It's a Moxception.
I love it.
We got a
tune into Tops. If you're listening to the audio version and you missed it, tune into Tops 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network.
That's right. And we got a big NFC South battle coming up on Sunday. The Saints hosting the Buccaneers. Saints are -3 with a total of 40.5. The juice, again, like these juice numbers are crazy. The line's actually down, the total's down to 39.5 on FanDuel, which you can see on the screen. Saints are -122, which is just a weird, bizarre number. Nevertheless, I will be taking the Buccaneers here. I think we look, the Buccaneers defense. The Buccaneers got blitzed through the roof, out into the turf against the Eagles on Monday night. In that first game, Not a very thrilling game. Baker was under pressure. Bucs offense just couldn't do a whole lot. I don't think the Saints defense is as good as it's being given credit for, like, publicly, because, like, I think this game will be low scoring. I think the Saints defense is good. I just don't think it's like that great. You have a situation where, it's like they just haven't played anybody. I mean, they just haven't had to play a good offense. And I think the Buccaneers are a decent offense with some good weapons. Marshawn Lattimore, Mike Evans, always must see television. They hate each other. And this is a Jameis Winston revenge game. But I think it could be a Buccaneers revenge game because he wants to do 30 interceptions in the season, a 30 for 30 for Jameis, 30 touchdowns, 30 picks in the same season. Just an incredible year. So I'm going to back the Buccaneers getting revenge on Jameis, who is likely to start with Derek Carr missing this game, RJ.
Yeah, and the line's moved up with Jameis. I don't get that. I think he's a worse quarterback than Derek Carr. And the New Orleans offense was struggling even before the Carr injury. They were buoyed by the punt return touchdown there. I think it's the downgrade, though, and the market doesn't. It's trending up. You can get 3.5, so I have best bet Tampa Bay plus 3.5. New Orleans defense has good stats. They have faced some limited offenses this year, and Tampa Bay's finally flopped against an elite team, but they've competed otherwise, and this is not an elite team. Their offense looks much better with Dave Canales running the show. I think they're going to show out here and have a good game. So I think Tampa Bay deserves, especially if you're getting plus 3.5, is going to be a close game, and they've played well enough that they should get more respect coming out of that game against Philly, that's just going to happen against Philly.
Well, the Bucs haven't been able to beat the Saints in a few years, right? Do y'all take Bucs to win this game or just to cover?
Well, it's Tom Brady effect. I mean, it's a different team now, so I don't think you can really read into what's happened in the last few years.
I think the Buccaneers are going to win the game, but I mean, it's definitely going to be close. Like, I think it'll come down to a field goal. So, I mean, that's why I'm taking the Bucs, obviously.
Yeah, that would.
And Saints are perceived to have this great home field advantage, but that's not really hasn't been the case the last couple years. I track, I'd give unique home field advantage numbers to every team when I'm building my power ratings, and their home and away stats, they're not that different. So I don't think they have a great home field advantage at this point. They're basically the same, pretty close to the same team home and away at this point.
All right, moving on here. Commanders at the Eagles. Eagles laying 8.5. Eagles offense starting to click. Swift just finds those gaping holes, whether he creates
Swift and Kelsey. Kelsey leading the way for Swift.
And Swift. The tush push, by the way, I mean, you could see it was so hard for Kelsey to get up after some of those. They're going to run this man into the ground, and maybe
his wife wants him to retire.
I would too, if he was going. I mean, that's the thing with the tush push. It seems extremely dangerous when you have, that many people falling on each other, but it works, and other teams don't perform it as successfully. This total 43.5. RJ, you're laying the 8.5 with the Eagles.
Yeah, you can find 8, so I have a best bet 8 here. Washington was exposed facing a good Buffalo team, and then the line didn't move coming out of the game. It finally moved when the Eagles took care of business against the Bucs. And I know people were fading the Eagles in that game because they believed in the Bucs. But it was interesting to me that the line was still -7 with the Eagles after Washington was completely, beat up and had no chance against a good Buffalo team. Philly's just as good. The Washington offense running the ball has been good, but Philly's strong up front, as we know. They've been great versus the run. And the Washington defense has only looked good versus Dobbs soon after he joined Arizona and hasn't looked great since. So the market faded Philly at Tampa, but they dominated despite having that flu bug that was going around apparently according to Jalen Hurts. And so you would expect them to struggle, and then that comes out and you're like, oh, that's why. But they just completely dominated that game. So if you think Philly is among the elite, throw in the home field advantage here. This is saying that Washington is at least an average team, and I don't know that they're an average team. I have them as above average. So I would put this line on the other side of 10, if I'm being honest, which is why if you want to lay the 8, if you only have the access to 8.5, I'm fine laying the 8.5. I think I'd probably look for a teaser at that point, but lay the 8 too. Either number, I think they're going to win by double digits.
Spicy. Broncos at Bears. We went to the Vikings and the Panthers. It's crazy. There's 4 0-3 teams in the NFL currently. And all 4 of them are playing this week. You got the Panthers and the Vikings, and then the Broncos.
Someone's got to win.
Yeah, somebody's got to win. I mean, if the Broncos and the Vikings win, the Bears will be holding the top 2 picks in the NFL draft 4 weeks into the season, which, I mean, Bears fans are pretty upset about it, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you got the number 1 and number 2 overall picks. You could either, draft Caleb Williams and trade number 2 for a haul, or draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Although I mentioned that Pete Prisco was like, why would you take a receiver at number 2? Ridiculous. Anywho.
It was a good Pete.
Thank you. Broncos minus 3.5.
Now, like Pete.
A lot of people have good Pete's. Brady's got a good one. Got to Waddle.
Mm-hmm.
Broncos minus 3.5, over under 46 here. I mean, I'm pretty tempted by the bounce back spot for the Broncos. I think, you get 70 hung on you, you better respond. And what better way to respond than by getting the Bears, even if it's on the road. I mean, this Bears team is just terrible. So I would lean towards the Broncos, but 3.5, man, as RJ pointed out, a team with a winless team on the road laying almost 4 points is pretty insane. So I'm probably passing on this, but lean towards the Broncos a touch, RJ.
Yeah, the look ahead here was minus 2.5, and Denver gives up 70. And I know the Bears are bad, but now it's 3.5, and it might be trending toward 4. It just, people hate how the Bears, based on how they've looked. I don't know how you can have any faith in this Denver team. I don't see how they're even favored in this game, and much less by 3.5. Defense has been awful. Offense didn't score in second half garbage time last week, like you would expect if they have a good offense. And with this line, people are expecting they have a pretty good offense. I think Chicago's offense can have success with the run game. This is obviously going to be easier matchup for Fields playing a defense that has one of the worst 3 weeks of the season ever. Denver's coming off a long road trip, had to go to Miami. Now they're going back on the road after being embarrassed. It's a flat spot for them. And power ratings have Chicago as the worst team in the league. I'd still make them -1 in this game. The HQ, the research team for CBS, also just pointed out Russell Wilson 0-9 against the spread as a favorite in his career with the Broncos, including 7 outright losses. So it's just, when they're supposed to be favored, just fade this team, because they are not very good. So as bad as Chicago is, and my only worry about playing Chicago as a best bet is their beat up defensive backs. So I guess that Denver could come out and score 40, and Chicago couldn't, scores 30 and doesn't cover. So I think my best bet here is over 46. I just don't see why this is going to be a low scoring game with how bad Denver's defense has been, and Chicago's defense, to be frank.
Propstarz, you got anything here?
Yeah, I do. RJ mentioned the injuries in Chicago's secondary. Love this spot for Jerry Jeudy, over 52.5 receiving yards. Looks to be over that early hamstring injury causing him to miss week 1. Seen his route participation, target share grow week 2, week 3. Looked to be fully healthy last week. I know it was obviously a bad performance overall, but he was running a route on pretty much every Russ drop back. Bears defense ranks bottom 5 in literally every single defensive metrics, particularly their pass defense has been absolutely atrocious. So I think this is a good spot for Jerry Jeudy, only needing 53.5 yards, having the deepest ADOT on the team, really not seeing a lot from Cortland Sutton. For whatever reason, Sean Payton is just unwilling to play Marvin Mims, who's by far the most explosive option.
Yes.
Should be on the field. Yeah, 24% snaps back-to-back weeks. Makes no sense why his role isn't growing in the offense. In the meantime, I have more confidence or trust in Jerry Jeudy of any pass catcher on this team until Mims gets more playing time. So I'm going to roll with Jerry Jeudy over 52.5 receiving yards.
Not only is he not playing enough, it seems like Sean Payton, the Saints, the Broncos are talking with Traquan Smith, old buddy Traquan Smith. So he's going to play even less if that guy comes in the building and he gets on the field for Sean Payton.
Inexplicable.
What do you think it is? Do you think it looked like when Ayuk was in the doghouse for a while? Like, did Mims do something to Sean Payton? Why are you not playing him more?
Maybe he doesn't like the. Yeah, I was going to say doesn't like the way he run blocks, or something seeing in practice that obviously isn't translating to any plays. Because anytime he's on the field, he is just a threat to take it to the house. Anytime he touches the ball, it doesn't make any sense why he's not playing at least 50% of the snaps.
He had a touchdown last week that was called back, right? I know, because I had the
he had a kickoff return touchdown too.
Yeah, Mims. Do y'all remember that rap song from Mims? This is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot. No.
Yep.
Oh, RJ, I did know. Brinson told me that you are a little bit.
RJ's a DJ. DJ.
Yeah,
RJ.
yeah. All right.
Is that true?
No, not a DJ.
How did that come about? I think it's like Ryan Wilson. Didn't Ryan Wilson create that rumor?
No, I mean we won't dive into it. But when I was younger, I did do some rap songs, but it's not enough. That's not DJing. That's
what was your
you
name?
You can be both.
Prophet.
I was Little Geppetto.
Wait,
what?
we gotta have a rap battle.
We gotta have a rap battle one of these days.
Rap battle right now.
No, well, they gotta
screw the Ravens and Browns. Let's have a rap battle.
It's been a long time.
I believe in you, Prophet.
You don't want me to rap, I'll tell you that much. You don't want me to sing.
Or me.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll You know what? Let's talk about the Ravens and the Browns, actually.
Let's do it.
Ravens at Browns. Browns -2.5, getting some juice at -118. Looks like it could move. And this total could pop up a bit too. It's at 40.5, -115 to the over. I'll be honest, like I think the Browns are like, I don't know what to make of the Browns.
Yeah.
They've had two really good like blowout wins against bad against bad offenses, right? Joe Burrow in that week one, the Bengals were bad in week one. No sugarcoating it. Joe Burrow had his 82 passing yards, right? I mean, like really? And then you had the Titans, who Ryan Tannehill looked awful too. And the Steelers didn't run a single play in the red zone. So maybe it's possible that the Browns defense is that great. I just think the Ravens offense is going to be easily the biggest test that they've had to date. I want a +3 here. I thought I was getting a +3. I don't know why it's 2.5. But I do think
I've seen some threes.
Yeah. Okay. So I can put down 3 as a best bet. So I could push. You could win this. I guess I'm spoiling your best bet there, but I'm going to take the Ravens at +3 and I think the Ravens are actually going to find a way to win this game.
I hope not, because I've got the Browns -2.5, and I agree with you that there's still a lot of question marks around the Browns, and I've faded them a little bit at the beginning of this season. Certainly haven't been Deshaun Watson's biggest fan, and I feel like the jury is still out on him. But this Browns defense is the best in the league through 3 weeks. And Brinson, I know that maybe they've gone against some bad offenses, or maybe the defense is also that good. 2 out of their 3 games, they've held their opponents to just a field goal. They have allowed only 21 first downs total through 3 weeks, just 21 first downs, which is really, really impressive. Only 1 offensive touchdown. The Browns are giving up the fewest yards in the pass game, the fewest yards in the run game. And the Ravens, they're getting some people back, but they're still pretty banged up on offense. And like Lamar Jackson has been great. He's coming off of his 13th career 100-yard rushing game. But what was Derrick Henry able to do? That guy can always break free, and he had 20 yards on 11 carries. So I will go for best bet. I'm going to take the Browns -2.5 based purely on their defense. And nothing is available yet, but I'm definitely going to be looking into Myles Garrett props. And Propstar, I'm curious what you think about this, but this guy's just been an absolute animal, a beast. 4.5 sacks on the season. Just last week alone, 5 quarterback hits, 3.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. Tennessee, hilariously, towards the end, were like double teaming him, following him everywhere that he went. But at that point, it was already too late. And I read a stat from Next Gen Stats. Garrett has had an average get-off time of 0.62 seconds in 6 pressures in the first half. 0.75 is considered elite. So the guy's just been insane. And he has done really well against the Ravens. He's had at least 1 sack in 4 straight games against them. So depending on what his sack, total is, or his total tackles are, I might look to do some overs for Myles Garrett.
Yeah, very impressive. Myles Garrett looks to be one of his front runners for Defensive Player of the Year. Certainly would like his chances to record a sack in this game. I'm going to fade a teammate of his, though, Elijah Moore, under 42.5 receiving yards. The Browns have worked so hard to get Elijah Moore the football, and he has just been woefully inefficient so far. 1.14 yards per route run. That's bottom 40th percentile of all wide receivers. Wow. 5.6 yards per target as well. Just manufacturing touches for him and doing absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, I think there's other viable pass catchers who really just haven't had many targets in David Njoku, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Jerome Ford can catch passes out of the backfield as well. So I just think the Browns have reached the point where he has had the same target share as Amari Cooper. I just don't think that's sustainable considering how ineffective he has been. I think this matchup is a little better than it looks on paper too, with the Ravens getting healthier in the secondary. So yeah, I think it's a good spot to fade Elijah Moore under 42.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, the Browns, I'm not going to say that they're not fantastic. They are. I don't know if they're quite as good as they looked against some of these limited offenses. So they'll be tested here against Lamar, the best quarterback they faced by far, especially when taking into account Burrow's health. And he can run around, do some different things in the game. We saw that he's effective as a runner there. Baltimore's injuries look like they caught up last week because they lost, and people are reading into that because this line moved from 1.5, Baltimore -1.5 to -2.5 Browns. I think it's too much of a swing swing here. I think this game should be pick 'em because Baltimore's defense had a good day. We talked about Indy's offense not being as good as the numbers suggest there with those long field goals. Baltimore's rush offense, 2 straight solid games. Lamar can escape some of that pressure, even if the offensive line is not playing well. And they should play better because you talk about they're getting some guys back. They're getting 2 key guys back on the offensive line, left tackle Ronnie Stanley and center Tyler Linderbaum. And that's just massive upgrades there for the Ravens. And that turns the Ravens offensive line back into what they want it to be and gives them a chance against this ferocious Browns front. So like I said, I think this line should be pick 'em. I would go Baltimore if you can get the +3 here.
Dig it. Love hearing RJ say that. Suck it, Mox. You're going down. Down to whatever. Brown. I don't know.
Down to the ground.
Down to the Browns ground.
Oh, good one.
One other late note to add from the research team. I'm in the research team Slack right now, so they're just posting notes. I'm just stealing them right now. But Lamar Jackson 9-1 against the spread in career as road underdog with 6 straight covers.
Ooh, that's a good line. I like that. That was gonna be my next
research team Slack.
shout out. You got to get there. I love the research team Slack.
I'm not in
Sometimes I'll jump in there and be like, "Hey, do you guys know this?" They're like, "What are you doing, dude? Get out of here! Shut up! Like, go away, Brinson. What are you? Don't come in here and give us research notes. Like we provide you nuggets, and you shut your mouth and you spew them all over the internet. That's your job. You don't come in here and tell us about information.
Y'all got to tell me how to get in that.
I'll invite you when we get out. Bengals -2.5 at the Titans. Total of 41. Ew, stanky. That line hadn't moved a lot, but the Titans starting to get a little juice here. -114 on the +2.5. Mike Vrabel as a dog has been awesome. I was 2-0 backing him until he dealt with the Browns and got obliterated. I'm kind of tempted to go back to the well here, especially with the Bengals on a short week. Burrow, I think, more banged up than he's probably willing to admit. I think Cincinnati will try to be conservative. The problem is Tennessee is a pure pass funnel right now. And if the Bengals try to win this game by running the football, they will not win this game, and the Titans will find a way to steal this. If the Bengals come out and just let Joe Burrow toss it all around, they could end up having a really nice game. I actually later today, I should have put it on my best bets, but whatever. I don't want to add it and hose Harry here. But Jamar Chase's over/under is 81.5 receiving yards. Oh, you like that over prop?
I do, yeah, quite a bit, just for the reasons you laid out. Biggest pass funnel in the league, have had just given up more production to opposing wide receivers than any defense. Jamar Chase coming off those 2 duds. I feel like this number is like 5 to 7 yards lower than it should be had he not had the 2 duds start the season. So getting a discount here, in my opinion. Love this spot for him. I like his alt totals as well, over 100, over 125 yards. I think he has a monster game.
That'd
be a little DFS action
around too in the Monday night game.
Yeah. RJ, any thoughts on Cincinnati, Tennessee?
Don't love it, even with Vrabel's history as an underdog. Offense has just been unwatchable 2 or 3 games. Their offensive line might be the worst in the league. And we saw what Cincinnati did to the Rams offensive line. So I just think about Matt Stafford under pressure and think, how is Tennessee going to score here? Derrick Henry's it looks like he's being minimized in the offense. And they want to get Tyjae Spears more involved. So we'll see if that continues there. Tennessee can beat some run dependent teams, but I don't know about a team that has Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow. So I value the value on my power rating, say it's on Tennessee, but I still have to play them against a solid defense. I'm just going to pass on this.
I'm really curious with Derrick Henry here. Like, historically, he's a very slow starter. This is usually the point of the season, week 3, week 4, when he tends to get going a bit. Has not looked good. The advanced metrics are very poor. The underlying stats are very, very poor. RJ mentioned the offensive line might be the worst run blocking unit in the league, but even despite that, he's not looked good. So it could be sell time for Derrick Henry if he does not have a good performance here. I'm really curious to see how he looks.
Well, LOL to me taking Derrick Henry to have the most rushing yards of the season before the season started. But we are going to, well, there's still time. We are going to take a quick break here. When we get back, we're going to talk the late games like Vegas at the Chargers. Chargers laying 5.5. Let's talk about it when we get back.
100% awesome.
We make this look good.
100% hilarious. 97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's so dope.
And you still haven't watched Ninja Turtles on Paramount Plus yet?
Y'all not as cool as I thought you would.
Oh, no. Hey, man. Listen, we were kidding.
Ninja Turtles is effortlessly cool and crushes for absolutely every age.
Jeez, Dad, you really went buck wild there.
Ninja Turtles, rated PG, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You can't. Oops, sorry.
What?
You?
I don't. Yeah. Well, what were you? Oh no, it's you. It's you.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's you.
Either
Sorry.
I was going to say that again, like we're probably not supposed to talk about the commercials, but I don't care. I freaking love the Ninja Turtles.
Yes, I was just thinking the same thing.
There's a new Ninja Turtles movie. I guess it's just a new movie. It's like an animated movie on of course it's animated. They're not real turtles.
The first three movies weren't.
I know with Vanilla Ice in it. Yeah, I guess they were. But yeah, I mean they were, but they weren't like, it wasn't like, actual.
You dirty rat, you killed my father.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, you're a TMNT.
I'm a child of the 90s. Yeah,
that's right. Anyway, I want to see. I think I asked Pete, like, what's your favorite Ninja Turtle? And he's like, what are you talking about? It's like, Pete, they're named after great, like, the Renaissance.
Leonardo. What are their names?
Artists: Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael. And Pete's like, I hate art. Pete famously, this is a true story. We were eating at Pizzeria Bianca in Phoenix, the one in downtown. And we're sitting there, and it's me, him, and Jason Lockenfora, and there's like across the street, there's the downtown Phoenix Art Museum, and we're like, I bet there's some cool stuff in there. And Pete goes, bleep art, and we're like, what? Did you say F art? He was like, yeah, art sucks. I was like, what? He was like, I'll just take some. I can't say what he said. He was going to smear all over like a canvas, but you can guess what it was. And we were like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, what do you mean you just hate art? He's like, art's just stupid. Art sucks. We're like, what are you, like, all art? Pete hates all art. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
So that being said, watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
That was the point.
Yes,
that was the point of that.
Yes.
I've seen, it's a great movie. I think Will was getting this, but I've seen it twice. I saw it once in the theater, once.
Have you really?
Plus. Yeah, I love the Turtles. That was my thing growing up, was the Turtles.
Oh yeah, me too.
And I like this better than the live action movies of the past.
Really?
Even being steeped in the nostalgia of the past, I think what they did with the characters here was just very good. So I encourage everyone to check it out.
I was actually about to text, once I said this next game, I was going to text my son and ask him if he'd watched the Ninja Turtles movie yet and see if he wanted to watch it. I might have to watch that this weekend. I love the Turtles. Hopefully the new generation likes them as well. Raiders, Chargers, back to football. Chargers minus 5.5, a total here of 48.5, quite robust, but just a little bit to the under there on FanDuel. Chargers 1-2. They got that first win against Minnesota last week, and despite themselves, and now they get maybe no Jimmy Garoppolo here. RJ, that's a lot of points there for the Chargers to lay. It's like Vikings and the Chargers probably shouldn't be laying more than 3 points at any given point in time this entire season, because if you do that, you are begging for them to win by a field goal or like a last second something.
Yeah, Garoppolo dealing with the concussion, you want him in there because the quarterback depth is bad. It might be Brian Hoyer. If it's not, it would be Aiden O'Connell, the day 3 pick rookie, who did actually look pretty solid in preseason, but that's preseason. The regular season is a different beast. Now, if it's Brian Hoyer, I know nobody's going to want to back him, but this line gets up over 7. I might want to take him because, like you said, who can play the Chargers when they're inflated by a big line? They just cannot cover big numbers. They always try to win a game by 3 points, it seems. They fall all over themselves. They cannot stop the pass. It leaves the back door wide open to cover with, I don't care who your quarterback is. The home field advantage isn't going to be here. Raiders playing in LA, they're going to have the home field advantage. So I wouldn't lay more than 3 with the Chargers in that situation anywhere. I don't care who the quarterback is.
I don't have a best bet from this game yet, but I was looking at season win totals before we came on the stream, and I was shocked to see that the Raiders are 6.5 plus money if you fade them, plus 125 to go under 7 wins for this Raiders team. I personally think that's such a good bet. I have a very hard time seeing this roster win 7 games.
Oof. All right, guys, we got 3 more games to get through. And we'd like to keep these shows as close to an hour as you possibly can. You know that your time is valuable. So no best bets on this one, but the Patriots at the Cowboys laying 6.5. You got to think there's some kind of a bounce back here after getting trampled and losing outright to the Cardinals. RJ, any quick thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I think you want to lay the 6.5 with the Cowboys. New England's offense struggled against elite Jets defense outside of that play action bite on touchdown to the third string tight end. That's not going to happen very often. Good bounce back spot for Dallas. Like you said, their defense fell asleep against Arizona. They also lost a key player in the middle of the week as they were preparing and had to overcome that. They'll be more ready here for this game. Dallas's offense ended all 4 second half drives in that game inside the Arizona 10. and they came with just 6 points in that, 2 field goals and 2 turnovers. So they should have scored a lot more points in that game. New England's run offense looked like it finally got on track versus the Jets, but what if they're behind and they can't run? And that's the situation I think this is going to show us here. So I would lay it with 6.5 with Dallas.
Yeah, I agree.
I take the points with the Pats here. Just me.
Oh, okay.
I'm a sucker for that. It's Zeke Elliott. By the way, there's a lot of revenge games out there this weekend. Zeke Elliott revenge game. Like, you got to get Zeke Elliott a touchdown against the Cowboys. Like, you get down to the 5-yard line and you just run him 3 times and just like, would you go anytime here?
I like that spot. Yeah, I think it's a good spot. You know he's going to get fed. You know he's obviously going to be motivated for this game. So, yeah, I think he's definitely going to get some looks. I think the volume-based approach might be the best one. But, yeah, I think Zeke's live for a touchdown.
All right, Cardinals at the Niners. Niners laying 14. Arizona being 3-0 against the spread, 1-2 straight up this season, has not scared the Vegas from setting this at double digits, 2 touchdowns. 49ers have looked like an absolute unit this season. I got nothing on this one. I'm probably going to lay it in like my picks pool just because I think people are going to see Arizona double digits again and think, all right, the Cardinals are frisky. They're going to take care of business. And then, you see like the 49ers just come in and just slaughterhouse them. So I would probably lay it, but I don't love it. Katie, you got a best bet, right?
Yeah, it's what I give out every single week. 49ers over their team total. Books are getting a little smarter. Now it's 29 and a half, was 26, was 22 in the first few games of the season. But Purdy for 30. They've gotten to 30 points in every game so far this season. It seems to be San Francisco's magic number. Overall, the 49ers have outscored their opponents 90-42 and have strong weapons on, running the ball and also throwing the ball. I also think that, some people have been surprised by the Cardinals, but the 49ers are in the same division. They're not surprised by them. They play each other pretty good. And so I think the 49ers are going to be very prepared for this. And I do think that the 49ers offense is better than Dallas's offense. And I think that they'll just kind of be able to get to 30. So I'd love them to cover the 14 points, but I'm never going to lay that on my own team. So give me the 49ers over 29 and a half team total. And then also not on the board yet, but George Kittle props didn't hit for us last week, Propstarz, in him getting a touchdown. So I still like him for an anytime touchdown. He's starting to heat up, coming off the best game of his seasons. Look at his receiving yards when they do come out, because he caught 7 of 9 targets in the last game, 90 yards against the Giants. Expect more of that in Propstarz. I do want to get your opinion on that from Kittle this week, because the Cardinals have just been getting eaten up by tight ends all season long. They've allowed every tight end that they have faced to go over on their receiving yards prop. So I will likely go over depending on what that line is. And I do like him to get in the end zone. In the last 2 games last year versus Arizona, Kittle had 2 touchdowns in each of those games.
Yeah, I think I prefer him to get into the end zone just because I think the game environment might be one that we don't see a lot of passing volume. But I agree, Katie. It's a great spot, great matchup for him. This Cardinals defense has just been bleeding production to opposing tight ends. I definitely think he gets some red zone targets. Obviously, a favorite target of Purdy once they get down there. So definitely like his anytime touchdown look. Wouldn't surprise me if he gets 2 here. I'd love to go for those long shots. I'll probably sprinkle a little bit on 2 anytime touchdowns as well.
Yeah, it didn't hit for us last week, but we're going to get on that train again. All right, Sunday Night Football, Kansas City Chiefs, a.k.a. the Swifties, laying 9.5 at the Jets. This total 42.5. Rumor has it that Taylor Swift will be in attendance at this game as well. She lives here in New York. It's going to be at MetLife. I didn't put this as a best bet, but you might as well pencil me in for a Kelsey anytime touchdown if Taylor Swift is in the building. But RJ, you're looking at the Jets team total.
Yeah, play them under 16.5 is available at -120. Kansas City's offense finally back to rhythm against Chicago, scored on 7 straight drives. But the defense shut down field through 3 quarters. I don't see how Zach Wilson does any better considering how bad he's been at every point of his career. Kansas City's defense has allowed 2 touchdowns in non-garbage time. The Jets offense has 3 touchdowns total. So I don't think the Jets defense is capable of completely stopping Mahomes either. I'm fine laying the 9.5 if you want to do that because 17 points may cover here, but because I don't think the Jets sniff 17. So I take the under on Jets 16.5 on their team total.
If Rashee Rice is sitting on your waiver wire in fantasy football, now is the time to pick him up. Last week, he was the 2nd highest graded rookie wide receiver, according to PFF. His role is going to continue to grow. Mahomes still doesn't have a viable real second option behind Travis Kelce. Rashee has really flashed when he's been on the field. I expect him to have that sort of 1B job to Travis Kelce, and especially his snap count and target share to continue to grow as the season progresses. I like him to get on the field more this week as well, but definitely more of a long-term thing. But love Rashee Rice. I think he makes a big impact in the second half of the season.
Would you drop Elijah Moore for Rashee Rice?
I would in a heartbeat.
Really?
Yeah, I just think his ceiling is capped, Elijah Moore. I don't think he really has like even though the target share has been really big, I don't see him having the same upside that Rice does if Rice ends up becoming a full-time player in the offense.
Spicy. I like it. All right. I'm going to make that move right now. In Tom Fernelli's fantasy league, for which I think I finished last place last year, but I was defending champion the year before that. So whatever.
Oh, hey. And you're laying the 9.5, right?
Oh, yeah. We got 9.5. I'll take a best bet with the Chiefs here. The Jets are at home. 9.5 is a lot. But you saw what the Chiefs did against the Bears. Mm-hmm. And the Jets defense is a lot better than the Bears defense. Nobody doubts that at all. But the Jets still have Zach Wilson, and the Chiefs defense has been really good. And look, the Chiefs want to show out for Taylor Swift. If you think that's not true, I don't know what to tell you. There's video of the entire sideline. Like everybody's like, oh, bleep, look up there. That's Taylor Swift. And Mahomes is like standing next to Kelsey and waving up there like Patrick Mahomes, like the 2-time MVP, 2-time Super Bowl winner, like the most famous football player on planet Earth that's not retired in terms of like Tom Brady. And he's like, hi, Taylor. Like they're going to try and score and go up top.
Well, you know what's so funny is Aaron Rodgers obviously goes on Pat McAfee's show every week. And so he kind of hinted that he would be there. He's like, oh, somebody might be there this week. And it's like, good luck if anyone's going to care about you, Aaron Rodgers.
Up in
the not the booth. What do they call it? The suite.
Luxury boxes. Yeah.
The luxury boxes. Yeah. It's all going to be Taylor all the. You know what I like about Taylor Swift, though? We're not going to get into this, but she just likes to have fun. You see her at award shows. She's dancing and singing along to everyone, drinking cocktails, having a good time. She's at a football game. She's banging on the glass. She's giving the LFGs. Like, this is just a girl that likes to have fun. She's fun to watch. She's good for crowds. And she's definitely
Rodgers. If I'm Rodgers, I'm getting in the same luxury box as Taylor Swift and like waiting until Kelsey looks up and like put my arm around her and be like, "Sup, Travis? How you doing?" Like, just really throw him off his game.
Oh, I forgot Rodgers went both nights, I think, to Taylor's MetLife performances and was like rocking out. So that would be a little, let's look for a little Aaron Rodgers, Taylor Swift together in a luxury box, because I would actually love to see that.
I was like, what's up, Kelsey? Kelsey's like,
by the way, that's how you troll. That's how you troll and you get under their skin, because you know it's not going to happen on the field, unfortunately. All right, guys, that is going to do it for our show. Let's take a recap of our picks. Thank you so much, Harry, for getting this together.
Shout out producer Harry with the betting recap here.
Brinson, you want to read through your picks?
I got Buffalo -3, Carolina +4, Tampa Bay +3, Baltimore +2.5, and KC -9.5. I would suggest, for bleeps and giggles, tossing Carolina, Tampa Bay, and Baltimore in a money line parlay and just seeing it get real spicy.
All right, I'm on Buffalo -3, Minnesota team total over 25.5, Cleveland -2.5. Look out for those Myles Garrett props, and SF over 29.5. And then also look at Kittle's props. I like Kittle for an anytime touchdown as well. RJ.
Got Miami +3, Josh Allen over 33.5 rush yards. Tampa +3.5 is available in the market. Philly -8 is available in the market. Denver, Chicago going over 46 points, and Jets under 16.5 team total.
And let's go Gabriel Davis over 42.5 receiving yards. Jordan Addison over 39.5 receiving yards. Elijah Moore under 42.5 receiving yards. And Jerry Jeudy over 53.5 receiving yards.
All right. Those are our picks, and that is the show. Make sure you join us tomorrow, or not tomorrow. Make sure you join us on Sunday. The Super Friends are going to do their Sunday night recap. So like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube page, and you will see the Super Friends after the games on Sunday.